debt at all. In today's episode of Flying Upstream, we sit down with someone who believes the banking system has been deceiving us for decades. From vows of poverty to federal court, he has come to one bold conclusion: the game is rigged, but you don't have to keep playing it. Tommy Kilpatrick is a retired American teacher now living in the Philippines, where he teaches farmers bamboo dome building, vertical gardening, and how to open free self managed healthcare clinics. Born and raised in California, he double majored in abnormal psychology and accounting before building a career as an author, teacher, and entrepreneur. After a 28-year marriage ended, he chose a vow of poverty, spending a decade living on East Coast farms and walking in faith. In 2004, Tommy published a book on health and healing and signed an infomercial contract. But when the deal collapsed, he was left with $85,000 in credit card debt. Taking his banks to federal court on his own, the cases were dismissed, yet the alleged debt was removed from his credit report with no IRS penalty. Today, Tommy advocates for victims' rights, exposing how $1.3 trillion of credit card debt worldwide is built on bank fraud and can be corrected within 45 days. Tommy, welcome to Flying Upstream.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
I am so excited to have a conversation with you. I have a feeling I'm going to do a lot of learning today. Let's
Oh, you got to
start.
you got to rethink what is possible. So if you say it's impossible to eliminate your alleged credit card debt, just move a little space there, and it's I'm possible. So I'm trying to get through to you and your audience that's you're possible of not getting out of debt, but of being no longer a victim of bank fraud.
I love that. So take me back to the beginning that brought you here to where you are with to where you just shared.
Oh, sure. Like you said in the introduction, I had a contract. I was an author, so I wrote a book on health and healing, and it became very popular that I got a contract for an infomercial back in 2004. And I had to live on my credit cards because I was being interviewed by radio personalities all across the country at all times. So I really couldn't work. I had to be on the radio at all different weird times, early morning, late at night. And it went on for about 6 months, and we were test marketing. It was getting a great response. And then one of the talents, I'll remain him. He'll remain unnamed right now, but he got in trouble with the FTC, and he made some claims of weight loss book that wasn't true. So all of our new talent contracts were canceled, and I was left with 85,000. We say, why would you do that? Well, I was promised $100,000 a month. So it'd be $15,000 the first month. So I'm ahead of the game. So I didn't think anything of it, but it put me in a little bit of a depression, of course. And then about a month later, I woke up thinking about my dad. He's a certified public accountant, and I was in school to be one, even though I never got the credential. I can do the work of one. And I realized the bank does not have an invoice. So there is no debt. And I have a memory because there's a book we read in our accounting class called Modern Money Mechanics, put out by the Federal Reserve, and explains what banks do is they accept your promissory note and they write numbers in your free checking account. That's how they create this fiat money. And I never signed a promissory note. So there is no debt. My father at the time was an attorney and a judge, and we had long conversations about fraud on all contracts. So when you use the card, you're compelled to their terms and conditions, not when there's fraud. So I decided on my own to file federal lawsuits, and it was going on very good. We had a deposition coming up. That means that bank was had to send one of their employees to my office, would have to answer all the questions under oath. And I don't think they really wanted that, because then all of a sudden the judge called me in, just me, not the defendants. And my father-in-law said, that's really strange. The judges are only interested in scheduling. So I walk in, and he says, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? Let me start at the beginning. We'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? Well, it starts off as a gift card. A gift card? Pull your wallet out. I pull my wallet out. What does it say on your credit card? Credit card. You're an idiot. Get out of here. So they dismissed my 3 cases. So I went back into a tailspin. But then a month later, I looked at my credit report, and all 3 were off my credit report. My score improved. My credit score went up after this debacle. So A friend of mine gave me a charity. It was dormant, and I turned into a credit repair. And a lot of people had some credit card debt that they thought it was. So I'd write a letter to the bank to have them close the account and take it off the credit report, and they did. So it was that simple. So I here in the Philippines, and I thought, how am I going to fund what I want to do here? And so I wrote a book. It's called Forgive and Forget: How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt. And it's not forgiving the bank forgiving you. You're forgiving the bank for it being a criminal. Okay. And then you can forget about it because it's not really a debt. Then I turn right around and teach you how to get another one. Yeah, you can say get out of debt. I'll get you another card if you want to say it that way. But well, I'll explain more. So that's it.
I love I love that. I love that quite a
Uh-huh.
bit. My dog wants to say hi. Um,
Hello, doggy.
that's pretty amazing. So, how were you so fearless to just go in there and be like, I'm just going to file a lawsuit? Because I think most people wouldn't even get there.
Right. Yes. Fear is a good thing. It prevents you from doing things you shouldn't do. But then there's only two fears you're born with. You're born with the fear of noise and the fear of falling. So an infant will immediately clutch when they're slipping. So I knew all the fears were just made up, and somebody taught it to me. So I saw a guy on a video saying how easy it was to file a federal lawsuit in Texas, of all places. That's where he was located. And he said they're so accommodating, they're so easy to work with. And I went, I didn't find that to be true at all. So, and a little bit of the law library and encouragement by my father-in-law. So I felt pretty good. I had a good case I could prove that they were criminal, and that's why I wanted the deposition. I wanted the productive documents. I wanted to answer all the discovery, and they did not want to reveal that they were criminal. So that's what I think happened.
That's very interesting. And so, as someone who sits on the other side, I'm a paralegal by day, and
Oh.
and um, and it's interesting as I sit here and I think about why would I not send him? Why would I not depose him? Why would I, as we're sitting there at the round table with my attorneys, I'm trying to figure out, and I think that's basically, in essence, because probably you had the resources, the people with the skills. To me, it sounds like you sort of sat in that seat and you were able to be like, yeah, they're not going to want that. They're not going to. And it's very costly to have a deposition. It is extremely costly. And the production of, to ask for documents to be produced, just putting that together alone, that can take a lot of time, and you're paying a paralegal a lot of money to put that together. And then you're hiring these people to come and put this meeting together. So I can really appreciate the fact that, one, that you said it the way that you did, with the simplicity that you said it, because in reality, like you said, it is just a fear. I mean, I do this stuff every day, and to me, it's almost meaningless, right? Like, I file federal appeals for a living. And when you think about it too much, like most of us tend to, and we tend to take into consideration all of this societal BS that's put on top of that, then we like freeze and we're like, we can't do that. I'm not capable of that. So I really appreciate the way that you shared that. So,
Well,
okay,
think
so
about
that was,
this. Think about this. What you do appeals? What if I appealed? Well, then I could have gotten the case back on track. But if there was no evidence of a crime, meaning the things were off my credit report, how could I go into court and argue that there was a debt when they say, "Where's the debt? Prove to me the debt
yeah.
there." So that's think it through. If I appealed it, then I could have gotten back on track and done the deposition, the production documents, all the good stuff. They didn't want that to happen. So take it off the credit report. No crime, right?
No crime. So this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. And what you mentioned, the promissory note, when you first started talking about this. And talk to me a little bit about that, because while we may know what that is, if I was listening, I wouldn't. If I didn't do this. What is that, and how does that play a role in that? Does everybody sign one? What happens if they did sign one? Would they still be able to kind of take the steps that you did?
Well, if you don't mind, I can push that question back a little bit. But I just want to say right to your audience right in the beginning, I'm a doubting Thomas. So I want you, Louisa, and your audience to be a doubting Thomas too. So don't believe a word I say. Okay. Don't believe a single word of this crazy
Yeah.
person on the internet. Okay. In the show notes, I have 3 links, and look it up yourself and see what I'm saying is true. Send this podcast to your certified public accountant or anyone who's had one class of accounting. They'll tell you I'm right. Maybe they never thought about it, but the bank does not have an invoice. There is no promissory note, and fraud undoes all contracts. So that's my point, is that language is law and law is language. So if you use the language of the criminal, you'll never win the argument. Okay. So when we watch a bank robbery in progress on TV, they always say alleged. Well, that's all I'm asking you to do is it's impossible to get out of credit card debt. No, it is possible if you say the word allege. Now you're putting a burden onto the defendant, onto the bank to then prove that there's actually a crime, or actually to prove that there's a debt. And that's what I can do, is prove that there's actually a crime that's happened. So let me just start off and say there are true credit cards. So I'm not trying to tell you there's a get out of debt scheme. This is not that at all. Okay. So let's say, Louisa, you need tires for your car, and you drive around Austin and you see that big O tire company, and you pull in and they say, it's going to cost you this much money. You're going, I don't have it, but I need the tires. They say, Louisa, why don't you fill out a in-store credit card application and see if you're approved. You're approved. You drive away with a car. You didn't pay for those tires, right?
That's right. Right.
You didn't, right. You didn't pay.
Yeah.
You didn't pay for the service to have those balanced and put on your car. You didn't pay for the service. You drove away. At the end of the month, you're going to get a statement, and that's true. It has an outstanding unpaid invoice, which is true. Louisa, you owe the money. Pay it. It's not legal. It's immoral not to pay that debt. That is a true debt you have. But if you go to Walmart and you get tires and they put on your car, I'm telling you, it's not. Wait a second. That's a store. Look on the back of your store credit cards. If it says issued by Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of London, Bank of Tokyo, Bank of India, this is worldwide scam. So now I'm trying to tell you, you're a victim of a crime. You're not trying to get out of debt. So what happens is that we have to agree that the bank was never a merchant. Think back about 100 years ago. You went to the store and you say, hey, Charlie, I need 5 pounds of flour, a pound of sugar, and my crops are coming in a couple of weeks. Oh, yeah, Louisa, I got you down your tab. I'll see you later. Oh, Charlie, can I borrow $10,000? What am I, a bank? You go to the bank. You don't borrow money from your merchant. The merchant has goods and services, and that's indicated by an invoice. So you may not have had an experience I have had. My first job was an accountant, and the CFO, which is a CPA, came up to me and pointed a finger in my face and said, if you pay for a statement, I'm going to fire you. That made an impression on me. So he said, our owners make deals all the time. You never know when a deal has happened. And so you see this right here, it says an invoice. So you only pay from an approved, because there was a guy just recently in the news that he had sent phony documents to Microsoft and to Amazon, and they paid him millions of dollars from a phony invoice that looked legit. So they didn't follow what I was being told, only if the department head approves it. So you never pay from a invoice. You never pay from a statement. You always pay from an invoice. So that's where we can establish the bank is never involved in giving you tires or doing a.
Oh, did I lose you? Tommy, can you hear me? It looks like we lost Tommy for a moment.
Wall clocks.
Oh, you're back.
Okay. So I was asking a question. Do banks let me see here. I was asking a question. Do banks advertise? And what would your answer be? Do banks advertise?
Do banks? I'm trying to think if I've ever seen. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
They advertise all the time. So years ago, the banks bought toasters and wall clocks and had them in the bank. And your mom went into the bank And they said, "Oh, Mrs. Anderson, if you apply for a loan or open up an account, we'll give you a clock or a toaster."
Yeah.
She says,
Yeah.
"If I open up two, can I get two?" Of course. So your
Yeah.
dad comes home from work and sees a brand new clock and a brand new toaster. He says, "How'd you get these?" He says, "The bank gave them to me." "What it cost you?" "Nothing." "Why would the bank give you these things?" "I open an account." "Did it cost you anything?" "No." "Okay, it's a gift, right?" So I saw it in the newspaper once that said, "Come into our bank and deposit $25 and we'll match it in 90 days." So what did I do? I took my 25, put it in the
Yes.
bank, waited 91 days, and took out $50, my 25 and the bank's 25, and closed the
Yeah.
account. Now, let me ask you a question. Did I rip off the bank?
No, I mean, you abided by the terms of
No.
of the agreement.
Did I steal $25? I walked out with their
No.
money.
They
No.
gave it to
And
you. Yeah.
they gave it to me. And the last thing is that immoral what I did? Some
You
people
know,
say yes. Most people say no.
I wanted to get to this point. I wanted to get to this point because as you're sharing this, it sounds like they're counting on our morality or immorality, right? To be successful.
Mhm. Well, when we're in a currency dominated economy, morals and values are actually a hindrance for you getting money. So if you need money to pay the rent, to buy food, that's where you got to cut your morals and values to make it. If we're living on a farm, that's why I've been living on farm. That's why I'm doing farmers here. I'm in an agricultural dominated economy where morals and values are required. Because how are you going to deal with people? You got to have honesty, you got to have integrity, and that's how you feel a sense of community. But on the other side, that's what's happening. So what
That
banks do is
is
they advertise to get you as a customer. This is no different than sending you a $500 credit card from Capital One. It's a gift.
wow. This is
Wait a
very
second, how could it be a
enlightening.
gift? This is where we get into that promissory note. Okay, so what they do is they sent you this gift card. So what see if you say credit card, then you're going to lose the argument. All right, so it's
Yeah.
a gift because they gave it to you, and so in my show notes, there's a guy, and number 4 link is there's a guy on YouTube that says, "Do what I told you to do. Go into banks." He's made $361. So he's promoting this all over the place. So I don't think it's immoral. I fulfilled their obligation conditions, and they gave me that $25. Same thing with this credit card. So if Louisa, if I give you a $500 gift card, what's one thing you like to purchase right now? What would you like to buy?
I'd like a new purse.
A new what?
A purse.
Oh, a purse. There you go. Gucci or okay. We want to talk about the brand, but yeah, you want a real nice purse. I can tell you're a real good lady, a girly girl. I love it. So a purse. So you go into your designer store and you buy your purse that you've always wanted. Nice little clutch bag. About this big for
Yes.
$500 now.
Yes, a
I,
gold one, please.
I old one, yes. And you're walking out the store and they say, "Wait a second, ma'am, did you pay for that?" And you have a receipt. So let me ask you a question. Are you going to get a statement from that uh, luggage store or the department store for that luggage, for that purse? Are you going to get a statement?
No,
No. Do you have an outstanding unpaid invoice?
no.
No, you own that purse. You walked out of that store and you own the purse because you have a receipt. Well, that's what happened. Is the bank sent who's going to pay that store that $500 that night or the next day? Who's going to pay them? Someone's had to pay that
Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who would have
The
paid that
gift
store?
card that gift card
Right.
provider,
The gift,
whoever
right.
sent me
The
the
bank
gift
behind
card.
the gift card. Right.
Yeah.
So the bank paid. All right, fine. So now you're going to get a statement at the end of the month from this bank. Let's call it Bank of America to make it simple. So you're a good person, you're a moral person, you think it's a bill. Now remember, statements are not a bill, but you think it is, so you're doing the right thing. And banks count on you being a moral person. Remember what you said? Yeah, absolutely. So you write a check from the Bank of Austin to Bank of America. Now, isn't that the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money?
Yeah.
Right. So, in actual essence, in the very first link, it says banks do not take deposits. What you're doing is you're loaning the bank money. What? Okay, think about this. You have no money and you go into a bank, you want to come out with money. That's called a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you apply for a loan and the bank turns you down, Louisa, do you still get the loan?
No.
No, the bank turn. No, you don't. That's
Right.
stupid. I have to say that because people, your audience, are going to say, "Oh, I signed the agreement and now I have to fulfill it." It's a contract. No, it's not a contract. I signed the application, or I clicked on, or I said yes on the phone, and it's an app. That's an application. Is a promissory note. No, it's not. That's why we have a different word for things. An application means a request. So you're approved. Great. Then what do? You have to go into the bank and fill out loan documents. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Law
prove
school's
you
coming
have it.
back.
Yeah. You have to prove you have an income because how are you going to pay this loan back? Well, what happens if
Mm-hmm.
the bank is brought into court and the judge says, you're loaning money to people who don't even have an income? That's predatory, right? So the
Yep.
bank is going to have you prove that you have an income. Two, they have collateral because how are you going to pay this back if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have, if you don't have anything for them to sell? So they can legally take that car, the house, or let's say you put up your yacht for a personal loan, they can take that away from you, sell it, and if they come up short, well, it's their problem. If they come up long, they don't keep the difference. They got to send you back the difference, right? So also, you have to have a credit report, and your credit score determines your interest rate. But the last thing you sign is a promise to pay it back. So if I give you something and don't ask you to pay it back, that's called a gift, right? So if you don't ask for the promissory note, it's not a loan. So there was no loan. Now, here's that example. You write your check out from the Bank of Austin to Bank of America. That's the first time, as you said, the bank has ever seen your money. Because remember,
Right.
the card came in the mail,
Yep.
not even applied, it's pre-approved. And so
Yeah.
you use the card and you get this bill, and so you write a check out, right? So that's the first time the bank has ever seen your money. So you wrote a check, $500 to the bank. When you take money and leave it in a bank, that's called a loan. You have loaned the bank $500. How you get access to your money is through your debit card. This checking account doesn't seem to give you any checks. So every month you put money into your account. It's a loan. So every purchase since then has been with your own money. Okay, let's do this again. You get a card, a gift card. I call it a gift card. You call it what you
Yep.
want, but a gift card came in the mail. You bought something. You have receipt. You own it. You own that product. They can't take it away from you. Then you get a bill you think is in the mail, so you write a check off. The money goes to that bank. That's the first time the bank's ever seen your money. So you're loaning the bank money. As you spend your money, there's less obligation the bank has on your loan. But then they send you that statement,
The
uh,
statement
alleged credit card statement, and you write another
that you
check, you're
morally.
always filling up your checking account. Always filling up your checking account. So when you don't do that, they charge you interest. That's the scam. So why banks want you to be as a customer is you can look up yourself. 2 months ago, I did this. On average, what does the average person pay for credit card fees? And it's $23.04. So Bank of
Yes.
America has 1 million card holders. They're bringing in $23 million a month. And I calculate it to be about 1/4 of their profits. So 1/4 of their profit is done on a fraud scheme to get you to pay $23 a month on a free checking account. So think about this. After 22 or 23 months, they made back their 500. So that money came from their advertising budget. So all they do is refill their advertising. So it doesn't matter what they give you, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 credit line. It's all phony money. It's all gift in the beginning. And once you write a check to that bank, you now loan the bank money. So it's your own money. And that's how you can get off this crazy merry-go-round.
This is absolutely insane. And I think that I love the detail with which you're sharing it because I think that it's important not just, I mean, this is amazing with credit card debt, but not just with credit card debt, but that you're showing the thought process of perhaps what we should be doing with basically everything. I mean, you know, my biggest takeaway because I'm bothered by it is the fact that it's basically based on our morality. Like, if we did not, if we could walk around, right? If we as humans were ingrained to not be moral beings, like some of us are raised that way, then they would not have that one quarter of their earnings would not happen because people would just be like, yeah, I'm not going to pay it. I'm not going to pay it. I don't owe this money. And I love that you're showing people, like, think about it to that depth, because when you think about everything to that depth, I really like to think about it. Think about what kind of life you could live, because you can, in essence, decide from the court and see the different angles of things.
Well, let's talk about how you don't get out of debt. How do I get off this being a victim? I am your victim's right advocate, okay? So we first of all have to have evidence of a crime, okay? And what's that? Your credit report. What? Look it
It's
up.
true.
If your credit report says Bank America credit card, there's the fraud. Remember, they're not a merchant. They never, ever could have issued you a credit card because they're not a merchant. They never did goods or services. So you got the crime. Now you have to be a victim and you have to go to the police, right? But you call up the Austin Police Department and say, this is civil, go away. There are 4 or 5 state and federal agencies that oversee the banks. So
Mhm.
that's where I ask you, and I will only help people if they have a third party verifying what I'm saying is correct. I want to talk to your attorney. How many scammers want to talk to your attorney? But I have to have your CPA there because the attorney's not going to believe me. I have the expert witness, and he's going to say, yes, there is a credit card because he's been brainwashed. What can I do? The court's been brainwashed. The whole system's been brainwashed. You got to ask the question. Now you're not brainwashed. You've been lied to and indoctrinated, sure, but here we got the question. So the attorney is going to hear from a CPA expert witness. That's what they're going to use. They can't testify. The attorney can't testify anything about their knowledge of anything. They bring an expert witness in. So there is no debt. And there's no invoice and there's no promissory note, and fraud undoes all contracts. So that's what we do. So we get the victim, we get you to see that you're a victim. We have the evidence, your credit report, and then we get the evidence of who you've complained to and keep a copy. Now we send, before you send the letter to the bank, you better withdraw your money. You might say max out the card. That's the criminal language. So when they say, oh, we lowered your credit limit down, no, went from 500 to 250, they stole $250 out of your account. Oh, they closed my account today. No, they stole all your money. These people are called banksters for a reason. So you have to withdraw your money first from your checking account before you do this letter. In the letter, it explains the crimes they're committing, just like my complaint. But also we're going to include a lawsuit, not suing them, but if they sue you, you have a counter complaint. You have it already, explains the crimes they're committing, and now you can do discovery. And now we're going to have an injunction. Now, before, people didn't know what I was talking about, but everybody knows what I'm talking about today. Trump does one thing, what they do, run into court, make an injunction, stops everything. It's the same thing. You know what I'm talking about. So you file and they show the bank, if they sue you, you're going to immediately file an injunction, which says the court, wait a second, these people are bothering me, stop the bothering. They have to prove that when they have an invoice, which they don't have, they'll have to show the judge a certified copy of the promissory note, which they don't have. And we ask for an affidavit of debt. We're asking for someone in the bank to swear out with a penalty of perjury that you actually have a debt. If they don't have that in 30 days, you know, I know, the people of America know that it's going to be in contempt of court. So the bank does not want to do that. They see a brick of all that legal paperwork. It's just simple. I just type your name in, boom, it's all done. And they see $50,000. All we want them to do is say closed by consumer and in good standing. That's all we want them to do. And that's not going to happen, Tommy. Yeah. Okay. It's not going to happen. Now what I have is the evidence of a crime, and we go to the credit reporting agency, and in 30 days, they have to remove it. By law, they have to remove this crime that you have documented as fraud on your credit report. So you have all the documentation. I want that long-term account there on record because it gives you a credit score. So after all this, I turn you right around, educate you a little bit, and you get a credit card right away. Because they gave one to me, even though I sued them for $35,000. I got a credit card to take the airline ticket and to rent a car to get here. So yep, that's what happened
This
for you.
is
So no
amazing.
worries.
This is amazing. I love that. And so you help people do this. So if anyone's listening and you have some questions, you'll find all the links in the show notes, all the links in the YouTube description. So you can reach out to Tommy because I'm mind blown. I'm gonna go and process this for hours and look over all my contract law notes. And I'm just over here. This is amazing. I love that you're sharing this. I love this journey. Because I think what this can do is give a lot of people their freedom back. We get so frozen and paused by all of the conventional things, as all of these societal like barriers, I like to call them, like all of the things that they put in our way to make us believe that we cannot live life the way that we want to. And I want to wrap up here pretty soon, but I kind of want to touch on this because I love that you're doing this, right? Because you, in essence, so you did that for yourself, but now you're living in the Philippines, and it sounds like you're living a pretty dreamy life.
Hey, well, people say, "Why'd you come here?" And I say, "Nagapangit sang asawa." I came here looking for a wife. So I have learned the language. I'm writing a book right now on how to speak Hiligaynon in 30 days. So it's a revolutionary new way to speak a new language. So there'll be one in Cebuano, then one on Tagalog, and then I'll have it for all 50 languages. So that's coming up soon. So yep,
That is
that's what I'm here for. And I
amazing.
found a fiance, so we're going to be traveling to Philippines. I'll be back to America. I'm test marking a few things here of free housing and free food, giving away free food to people and making $5,000 a day profit. So that's coming up in a book, but I got to prove it here and then come back to America and do it there. So it was just too difficult. It was just too expensive and too much risk. And no one believed me. So here I can do things a lot easier and bring the proof of the pudding, say, back to America. And we can feed people with free food and we can have free housing for people. So it's possible. It's
I
not
love
impossible. It's
this. I love it. And you come back with what you went looking for. So that's kind of the best
possible.
part too. So I love that. Thank
Yeah,
you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. And hey, if you come back to America and you're on a whole new mission, we'll be here for you. We'd love to have you on again and share that.
sounds great. I'll do that.
Wonderful. So if you're listening, dear listener, that was Tommy Kilpatrick reminding us that the stories we're told about money, debt, and responsibility may not be the whole truth. If today's conversation sparked curiosity or challenged what you thought you knew, check out flyingupstreampodcast.com. And while there, take a moment to reflect on where you might be giving away your power. As always, thank you for listening to Flying Upstream. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and of course, keep flying up, keep flying.